I'm Amy Cherry. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow ya.
I know that there's a commitment by Advent Health to make it right.
Just over 1,000 Flagler County residents got faulty COVID-19 tests by Advent Health. Flagler County Health Officer Bob Snyder says despite the error, Advent Health remains a vital partner in the fight against coronavirus.
They regarded this situation as very unfortunate. I know that they feel awful about it, and in the letter that they sent to physicians, they do state that, and they also state that we've terminated our contract with the lab. We've also prepared letters to go directly to those impacted.
The letters offer complimentary testing, but Snyder says you can also take advantage of ongoing community testing.
Especially anyone who is asymptomatic and feels like they've been exposed or at high risk. We have community testing still happening at the Daytona State College Palm Coast campus.
Snyder says all testing has quick turnaround results.
There's no limit where there's no risk.
Shy of staying in your house 24/7 and not even accepting those Amazon packages, everyone is at risk for COVID-19, at least somewhat. But we're getting a lot of questions about whether you need to wear a mask or face covering when outdoors. Flagler Medical Director Dr. Stephen Bickle says wearing a mask is all about minimizing your risk.
The highest risk is 15 minutes or more exposure to somebody who has it within 6 feet. And that's what they use for the contact tracing. If you're in the slipstream of somebody who's riding a bicycle, there's some droplets that could go up back to 50 feet or 30 feet at least. There have been 2 clearly documented cases of this spread outdoors. It's mainly indoors, it's mainly household, it's also retail, it's also workplace. Ventilation systems matter.
Plus, health experts say wearing a mask is less about you contracting the virus and more about you not giving it to others. Local officials say COVID-19 could have an impact on hurricane season. John Arking explains.
Flagler County Emergency Manager Jonathan Lord says one of the first impacts will be on residents fleeing evacuation zones seeking public shelter, while the danger of the coronavirus still persists.
And if you are, and that zone is ordered to evacuate, please do not risk your life and stay behind. If that storm surge comes in, which is what determines our evacuation zones, storm surge is extremely deadly. So we ask that if you are ordered to still evacuate. Now is the time to consider where you may go. If you're concerned about or don't want to take advantage of congregate sheltering in our schools, then we ask that you take the time now to make plans to shelter with friends, family, or you can stay in a hotel as long as it is outside of the evacuation zone. And that could be as simple as, in most areas, just crossing over 95, and you're outside of almost all of our evacuation zones.
Lord says they'll still offer congregate shelter in partnership with schools and other organizations. They plan to provide masks and put in place as many safeguards as possible, but he stressed the immediate danger of a hurricane must outweigh concerns about potential infection. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Arking.
Tourism in Flagler County is taking a hit in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic.
Tourism Director Amy Lukasic says it's a wait-and-see game.
May and June group business, when you're talking about the resort, that's where we have our group business at. It does not look good for May and June, so we're just waiting for it to be safe to open again.
Lukasic said that in March they had a couple of good weeks and then everything was ordered closed. Tourism revenue dropped about 29% then.
We've been diligently looking at each line item and what makes sense. We've already cut probably 20% of the budget, our operating budget.
She said that her budget comes from projected revenues from hoteliers whose numbers have been down 80% since the stay-home orders went into effect. To listen to the interview with Amy Lukasic and Representative Paul Renner, download the Flagler Radio app and then go to the Free for All Friday podcast. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
A Palm Coast man is accused of setting 2 fires near area businesses. Tony Magoo has the details.
Around midnight on Wednesday, an employee at a nearby Publix spotted a fire at the closed Citgo on Belterra Parkway. He was able to notify the Flagler County Sheriff's Office and give them a description of a suspect. 15 minutes later, a sheriff's deputy stopped the vehicle at Pinecone Drive and Palm Coast Parkway. The driver, identified as 26-year-old Daniel DaCosta, appeared nervous and was shaking. While on scene at the traffic stop, deputies were alerted to a dumpster fire behind Pizza Hut and Kawa Sushi at at 1475 Palm Coast Parkway. DeCosta was identified on surveillance tapes, was placed under arrest and charged with 2 counts of second-degree arson and 1 count of possession of a firebomb. He was then booked into the Sheriff Perry Hall inmate detention facility where he's being held with no bond. We've got Sheriff Rick Staley of the Flagler County Sheriff's Office with us.
This was a great operation and partnership between the community who called to report the fires and observant deputy and technology coming together to stop this arsonist in his tracks.
For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Tony Magoo.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.